Xavi Simons might be the missing piece to unlock Enzo Maresca's tactics. In this one, I'm going to be explaining how Xavi Simons can fix a really huge problem from last season for Chelsea, why Enzo Fernandez could be unleashed in his best role in my opinion, and how Maresca could form a deadly Dutch duo, bit of alliteration there, on the left. How will Xavi Simons change this Chelsea side? I know it's another one, but this guy's decent. And more importantly, how exactly will Maresca's tactics be affected by the arrival of Xavi Simons? So, in Maresca's 3-2-5 formation, a fullback inverts into midfield to form a box. And while their wingers are then high, they're wide. We know this, right? But whilst there are multiple ways of creating this shape with a box in the middle, we can use this box to answer where Xavi Simons could play under Maresca. So for Leipzig, Simons played on the left, deployed as the left number 10 in a 4-2-2-2 formation. And rather than providing width or staying central, Simons actually operates in the left half space, with the left back overlapping to provide the width that's needed for him to have that half space, and often with two centre forwards making runs ahead of him. It was Jadon Sancho, of course, who made the most appearances for Chelsea on the left last season, with the responsibility for holding width and isolating the fullback 1v1. We speak about that in another video on the channel, which you can go and check. We'll talk about it a bit later on. But Chelsea have already signed JB Gittins as a more Maresca-suited replacement. So, where does Xavi Simons fit in all of this? Well, in this example, Xavi Simons could start as the attacking midfielder, with Palmer shifting over to the right. The right back can overlap to provide width, and Gittins is the touchline left winger. Alternatively, Palmer could continue to play as the attacking midfielder, with Simons starting on the left back overlapping to provide the width, and Pedro Neto then playing as the touchline right winger. And the idea with both of these is to get Xavi Simons into the left half space, operating between the lines in his preferred zone. It's in this area where he can fix one of Chelsea's biggest issues. So here's Xavi Simons on the ball in a deeper zone on the left. The left back is overlapping, and he's looking at two banks of four for the opposition's defensive unit. He combines in tight areas and attracts pressure from multiple opposition players. And despite this, he wriggles out of pressure while absorbing contact by putting the defender on his back and then getting into a dangerous central area. From there, he slots a beautiful pass between multiple players and creates a chance. Here is another example of Simons thriving in tight spaces. His small touches baits multiple players to apply pressure. His self-belief and bravery allow him to attempt passes that others wouldn't just even give a go at. They wouldn't dare. And in this example, he plays a lovely outside of the foot pass into space for Benjamin Sesko to arrive at. And it's this type of pass that is a staple of his game. He often favours this over using his weaker left foot, but given the precision and the quality that he's got, it's not much of an issue. In fact, Xavi Simons averaged more passes into the penalty area per 90 than any Chelsea player did last season. Another key trait of Simons' game is his ball striking. Positioned on the edge of the box in zone 14, an area he really enjoys, he initially probes the back line, drawing pressure and creating space for a pass wide. And when the ball comes back to him, he wallops it. He strikes it first time into the far corner. It's a great example of high quality, amazing technique. He does not mind a shot from distance. In fact, his average shot distance last season was 19.5 yards, which is similar to Palmer, who averaged 20.4. With him being at Leipzig, it feels like to me someone who, yes, is okay with low blocks, but in transition can take those chances at pace. And although those shots are from range, 40.5% of those shots were on target last season. That's actually better than Cole Palmer, who had 36.4%. And it's his ability from range, as well as carrying it in tight spaces, and the quality high-risk passes that he's willing to try but also achieve. They're going to be needed for those low blocks that he'll come up against. And it's been one of Chelsea's biggest problems, not just last season, but in the previous seasons prior to that. That's what previous means. Don't believe me? Have a look at his shot map from last season. His goals had a clear trend, all coming from more central zones, with two of them outside of the box. This example perfectly exemplifies how Simons would work in Maresca's system. He'd be receiving it in that left pocket, carrying to probe the defensive unit, and then driving inside to operate inside the opposition's block. And from there, looking to threaten that goal whenever he got on the ball. He also gives Maresca tactical flexibility, such as moving Enzo Fernandez into a role that many, myself included, consider to be his best. Here is Fernandez's heat map from last season, where he often found himself further forward, receiving between the lines and creating from the half spaces. Now, this saw a huge increase in his overall, important black and white output. Scoring 2 more goals, and he provided 13 more assists under Maresca compared to under Pochettino. However, many still deem that 2022 World Cup version of Fernandez to be the best version of him, playing in a more of a deep-lying playmaker role, and involved in the first phase of build-up and creating from further back with his elite passing range that he clearly has. But it seems that Maresca doesn't trust Fernandez off the ball in that deeper area. And I mean it. Maresca even said it's a matter of balance in this moment. Lavia and Caicedo give us physicality and strength in the middle. That said, here is an example from one of the only times last season that Maresca experimented with the left winger operating inside, the left back providing width, and Enzo Fernandez in the team, technically alongside Caicedo, in a double pivot. Now, it seems the only time that Maresca felt brave enough to use this system, or at least trust Fernandez in this system, was when they were up against back fives, setting his team up in a 3-1-6 or diamond shape formation. And this meant that João Felix would find himself deeper than Cucurella when Chelsea lost possession, giving the opposition just a brilliant chance to exploit them in transition. And Maresca, generally, he usually avoided pairing a wide player in the pocket with an overlapping fullback, preferring Fernandez high and an inverted fullback for a solid rest defence. Until the Club World Cup. Maresca experimented a lot, and he began to experiment with the idea of allowing Fernandez to drop deep to pick up the ball. The work rate and athleticism around him is important, helping to defend those larger spaces in transition and working hard in the counter press to limit his out of possession responsibilities. Simons' work off the ball, for me, is far superior to the Chelsea forwards last season. Well, I mean, it's proven. More ball recoveries and tackles per 90. It's there for you, black and white. Simons uses the spring in his step to press with intensity and stop opposition transitions. For example, here he bursts into action, not afraid to go to ground to win the ball and halt the attack before it becomes more dangerous. And by having Simons in this left-sided triangle, I think that Maresca, he will just have more trust overall with the positional rotations of those guys within that triangle, allowing for Fernandez to dictate from deeper zones, getting more touches on the ball and exploiting his best strengths, his best assets, such as the long-range passing that he possesses and the tempo control, the ability to pass it forward incisively. But it's double Dutch for Chelsea because they've added another Dutch player alongside Simons on that left-hand side with Jorel Hato from Ajax. Let's have a look at Cucurella's heat maps to understand the role Hato could play. So Maresca used him in many ways, whether it was becoming the third central defender, inverting alongside Caicedo in the double pivot, pushing up into the left half space, or even providing width. Hato offers the same level of versatility, as can be seen from his heat map at Ajax last season. And the dynamic between Simons and the left back is going to be so important so that he can move inside to operate in his favoured zone. And here's an example of that, with David Raum looking to overlap while Simons drifts centrally to connect play in closer proximity with his teammates. These wide triangles allow for the movement necessary in and around Simons to open up space for him to operate. And of course, Simons can then build a strong dynamic with the fullback to create dangerous chances by releasing them in behind to generate crossing and cutback opportunities. Here's Jorel Hato providing an overlapping run for Ajax, supporting his winger to open space. He's then able to receive the ball, arriving at the byline, giving him that perfect chance to put across into the box. And look, let's have it right. Whilst neither Hato or Cucurella thrived last season with their crossing metrics, you can see how Hato could add some extra creative quality when arriving in advanced areas, whilst also having the pace and the power to open space up for Xavi Simons. Here is Hato making an overlapping run, looking to attack the open space in the penalty area. And this opens a cutback opportunity for Hato, who is unable to make it count on this occasion. But the left back, he's just extremely athletic, which could bode incredibly well for a brilliant connection between himself and Xavi Simons, and a long-lasting one, of course, as well, with the latter looking to pick out relentless runs from the Dutch fullback, who has the power to get on the end of such passes. So this Dutch connection, it could be the perfect blend of athleticism, positional fluidity, and technical efficiency on the left for Chelsea. But Hato will first have to focus on displacing one of Maresca's most important players last season, Marc Cucurella, who has been absolutely fantastic a real leader within a very young group. We spoke about Gittins replacing Sancho. If you want more on that and the role of Delap for Chelsea this season, there's a full breakdown right here.